AML Refresher Training. Customer Due Diligence. Working Example. As part of your ongoing AML training, we will from time to time provide you with working examples of how AML practice and procedure should be applied in practice. Today we are going to take a look at a case scenario involving a UK limited company looking to instruct you in connection with a commercial property transaction. Let me first set the scene for you. You are approached by a prospective client, Mr. X, who needs your assistance in respect of a commercial property transaction. Mr. X is a director of ABC Limited, which is a UK-based private company, and it is this company that is proposing to buy a plot of land in the UK for development. The purchase price is £2.5 million. You have not had any previous dealings with Mr. X or ABC Limited. Mr. X tells you that ABC Limited is a successful development company and it has sufficient funds to enable it to buy the plot without external finance. In the above circumstances, you are required by UK law to carry out what is called customer due diligence before entering into a business relationship with ABC Limited. So the question is, what CDD measures should be carried out before you formally agree to act? Customer due diligence involves getting to know about your client and understanding the nature and purpose of the business transaction you are being asked to conduct. Your organization should have a written procedure for you to follow when carrying out client and transaction due diligence, and it is important that you adhere to this. Typically, however, here are some of the more obvious CDD measures you should consider taking in this particular case. The first thing you need to do is verify that Mr. X is authorized by ABC Limited to act on its behalf. Normally you would do this by getting a company letter or email from an appropriate officer of the company confirming that Mr. X has authority to act in the transaction. You may also consider asking for a copy of any board minutes that record such authority. Once you have established the authority of Mr. X, the next step is to identify Mr. X and verify his identity using documents and information from a reliable and independent source. This could, for instance, involve you asking to see the originals or properly certified copies of his current passport or driving license and a recent utility bill. Your organization may also use an online service provider who carries out electronic ID verification checks. If so, these checks should be made in accordance with your organization's standard CDD procedures. As your client will be ABC Limited, you are required to carry out CDD on all your clients before entering into a business relationship. You should therefore carry out a company search on ABC Limited and obtain a copy of its certificate of incorporation. This will confirm the company's name, registered number, and date of incorporation. The search results should also provide information about the company's registered office, its directors and shareholdings, as well as registered accounting information. Also remember that whenever you are instructed to act on behalf of a private limited company, you must also consider whether any beneficial ownerships are involved. A beneficial owner in relation to a private limited company is an individual who exercises control over the management of the company, or an individual who ultimately owns or controls more than 25% of the company's shares or voting rights. In relation to the case in question, a good starting point to determine beneficial ownerships would be to ask Mr. X to provide a company structure chart showing the relevant shareholdings and voting rights. You are entitled to ask for information from the company's Register of People with Significant Control. This is a register that UK private limited companies are now required by law to have. Its overriding purpose is to ensure transparency of beneficial ownerships. The register must be kept up to date and its details must be included in the company's annual confirmation statement. You can verify any information provided by Mr. X using the information you have received via your company search. If there are any beneficial owners, you need to be able to demonstrate that you have identified who they are and that you understand their ownership and control structure. As part of the CDD process, you also need to consider the purpose and intended nature of the proposed business relationship and satisfy yourself that the funds to be used for the transaction are legitimate. In this case, you are told that ABC Limited intends buying a plot of land for development purposes, and that ABC Limited will be paying the whole of the purchase price of £2.5 million from its own funds. A good starting point here would be to check out the website for ABC Limited to find out more about its business. Make inquiries about why Mr. X has chosen your firm to deal with the transaction. With regard to the source of funds, ask for trading accounts, bank statements, or confirmatory evidence from other professionals such as lawyers or accountants. At the end of the day, it is your responsibility and that of your organization to ensure that you are satisfied that both the transaction and the funds to be used are legitimate. Finally, once you have completed your CDD measures, make sure that you keep available and retain all supporting documents. If, following your CDD inquiries, you have any concerns about Mr. X, ABC Limited, the transaction or source of funds, you should, before taking any further steps, speak to your money laundering reporting officer and seek guidance on what to do. I hope you found this case scenario helpful and that it has given you a better understanding of how CDD measures should be applied in practice.